Dear friends, let us continue our day-to-day study on the life of Saul of Tarsus. We will talk today about the chronological order of events that took place after Saul's or the Apostle Paul's conversion. We will learn new facts. We will know more about Saul's background, the places where he has been to, especially after his conversion. I encourage you to watch this episode. If you have any inquiries, comments, or something to share, we would like to hear from you. You can communicate with us electronically. We are eager to hear from you, to know more about you or your testimony. Stay tuned. I will be right back. We have talked about the background of Saul of Tarsus as a Jewish and Roman citizen. Born in Tarsus, he was educated also in Jerusalem. A Pharisee, a persecutor of the church. However, he met face to face with the resurrected Lord. This is the chronological order. Firstly, on the road just before he reached Damascus, Syria, he met with Jesus Christ. He could not see anything, so they led him by the hand into Damascus, the oldest city in the world and in Syria, to Straight Street. This place is still there until today. I encourage every viewer to visit the biblical sites to refresh himself with this information. Secondly, he met with Ananias, who called him Brother Saul, then prayed and placed his hands on him and said, "The Lord has sent me, and be filled with the Holy Spirit." Thirdly, he was filled with the Holy Spirit. Fourthly, he was baptized. Fifthly, he began to testify and preach right away. His numerous testimonies are recorded in the book of Acts. In particular, in Acts chapter 26, before King Agrippa, he said, "So then, King Agrippa, I was not disobedient to the vision from heaven. First to those in Damascus, then to those in Jerusalem, and in all Judea, and to the Gentiles also I preached." What we know about the chronological order comes from Luke, the doctor, or Luke, the historian. We can consider it as a reliable document. Even the geographists, the historians, and the archaeologists confirm the truth of the narration of Luke, the doctor, and the historian. Also, what the Apostle Paul said about himself in his letter to the Galatians refers to the chronological order of the events and of his journeys. I encourage you to read chapter 1 of the epistle to the Galatians to know more about Paul's travels. As I mentioned earlier, he started his ministry in Damascus, but he said in Acts 26, "And in all Judea." It is difficult to determine the chronological order here, but I will address the most important events at that time. After Damascus, in his letter to the Galatians, we read that he went into Arabia. In other words, he went into the wilderness for about 3 years. He needed to spend some time with God in order to learn from Him directly, to receive the new leadership in the ministry, and of course, to receive the spiritual power. He needed to confirm the calling and the vision to be able to accomplish them. This is what I call the school of God, to which I will refer next time. Then he returned to Damascus. Then he went for a short visit to Jerusalem. They tried to kill him, not only in Damascus, but also in Jerusalem. So that is why it is difficult to determine the chronological order. But he returned to Damascus, according Galatians chapter 1, verse 18. Then he went to Jerusalem, and they tried to kill him there. He fled from Jerusalem to Caesarea, or to the Mediterranean. This city was on the Mediterranean. Later, he returned to Syria and Cilicia. He went to his hometown, then to Antioch, and began his missionary journeys. He ended up in Rome. He might have gone out of jail for a short time in Nero's day and preached until he reached Spain and North Africa. He was arrested at that time, or time of Nero, and was martyred in Rome. What Jesus said in Acts chapter 1, verse 8, "But you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth." Saul of Tarsus did just that. When he met with Jesus on the road to Damascus, and when he was filled with the Holy Spirit and was baptized in Damascus by Ananias, a disciple from Syria, he began his ministry right away in Damascus, where he was. He went to far and nearby places. The chronological order may not be complete, but the most important thing is that fruit he brought. It is obvious that the life of Saul of Tarsus was very fruitful. He preached where he lived. He preached in Damascus, Tarsus, Jerusalem, Caesarea. Those places were not for his ministry only. He pointed to a very important place. He spent some time in Arabia, or the wilderness. I'm sure that this was the school of the Apostle Paul. The wilderness has produced the greatest men of God who learned directly from God. Let me say that as soon as Saul of Tarsus believed in Jesus, he began to testify in the synagogues. This proves that he was endowed with the moral courage. When he was filled with the Holy Spirit, fear went away from his life. He began to speak boldly and publicly to win souls. Not only was he filled with courage, but he was also filled with love. He loved his people and wanted the Lord to open their eyes so that they could see Jesus Christ. Saul went into Arabia to launch a new beginning in his life and the ministry the Lord entrusted him with. We will talk about it on the next episode. The Bible teaches us clearly that we must follow Jesus Christ's steps, obey him, and yield to his will. This is the Apostle Paul who obeyed and surrendered to the will of Jesus Christ. The one who yields to Jesus' will receives many blessings and good rewards. In fact, there is a chronological order, whether it started in Damascus, Jerusalem, Caesarea, Arabia, Tarsus. We have mentioned earlier these places, but the most important thing is when you are in the center of God's will. This is the best, the safest, and the most successful place. This is where you can see the required consequences, where you can experience the power. the presence and the blessings of God. This is what happened. After Saul spent this time in the wilderness, he began his public ministry everywhere. It is obvious that he established churches in every place. Please take advantage of time. You need to have a personal relationship with the Lord. You need to spend quality time with Him. Is your life cold, unsuccessful? Is your life going from failure to failure? Is it full of contradictions, conflicts, warfare, fleshly behaviors, a controlling sin? I invite you to spend some time with the Lord. Before the holiness and the awesomeness of God, everything is uncovered and laid bare. God will bless you through this teaching. I would love to hear from you, to be in communication with you. We will be together tomorrow, God willing, and the day after tomorrow, and so on.